board. This is another...
Oh. Oh, yes.
See, this is the point where I was like, okay, the murderer is here. Somebody went crazy.
Well, I at first hadn't twigged. I'd forgotten for a second what year it was. I was like, is this the person that killed JFK? Are we exploring that? What's going on? Like, no, he's obsessed with JFK, and he's possibly a murderer.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I know right now. So.
Then
are you able to open that? I don't think so.
I never successfully opened a 3-ring binder. I don't think.
So I wonder if that speaks to, when I see these things, I think of a survival horror game. If somebody hadn't necessarily played one of those games, they would really be thinking that.
I don't know. Oh, you should read the review. Oh, I forgot that's the bottom of the drawer.
It's really, really hard to write. Obviously, it's interesting that they wouldn't give like the text on the side, or they'd actually I would have to read it for myself.
Yes, I'm trying to read this through the live stream.
I write on what I hope and imagine is a joyous occasion. News reaches me that you are newly married to a wonderful young woman. And I couldn't figure out who the letter was from.
Yeah, but it's from Oscar, the person who died and left you the house. Yeah, so.
Yeah. So I mean, clearly, I don't know if you assumed this was the father's room, or if this is his.
Yeah, I assumed this was the father's office, and that was like the first thing I saw that sort of hinted at his story. Just because, if you hide something under a fake bottom of a drawer, while he's clearly scrumpled it up and hates it for some reason, it's important enough that he kept it. He didn't want to get rid of it, but he also doesn't want to acknowledge that it exists.
No, I thought the same thing.
Which is interesting.
See, this was when I was like, alright, there's something up with this house.
There is something up with this house. Is this where it talks about,
all the different work they had to do, and how there's, just weird things about the doors and everything, and, clearly this is a really old house that's changing
Well, interestingly, the developer, Steve, was, he was at one point considering having things changed throughout the house to do that. So things like, you might walk through a door, turn around, and the door that you left open is now closed.
Ooh, that would make it a little bit freaky.
I'm kind of glad they didn't, because I guess that's not what the story's about, but again, he was going to go a bit heavier on the, playing off tropes and seeing what, okay, we'll really make you think this is a horror game.
Yeah, there would be no real reason for something like that, so. Sorry, I was just checking Twitter to see if anybody sent us any questions.
That's okay. They do it once, and I will show you how to find it, because it made me...
Oh, really?
I jumped so much, and yeah.
There's the combination save. Oh, here's the book. Wonderful book.
Oh, yes. Do you remember the combination for that safe?
Where do you find it? I forgot. I did find it, I just forgot what it was.
I can't remember which one that is.
Here, let's see if we can't find the scrap of paper that's on, but unless you want to open it now.
I remember. Oh no, that's fine. We can come back to it. We can do it in order. The one I remember is the one in the safe in the basement. I can remember the number for that one.
Oh, look at that! Look at those '90s teenagers. Were you old enough for 90210, or is that?
Yes, I was old enough for 90210. As much as I hate to admit it, 90210. Is that and Veronica Mars.
I really like that show. I really enjoyed that
Veronica Mars was brilliant. I love Veronica Mars.
I could have done without the third season of that entire your show. To be honest with you.
Possibly, but I'm very excited for the movie happening.
I know, right? That that got kickstarted. We're gonna see it pretty soon.
Yeah.
It's fitting we're in a house solving a mystery, right? Although,
Yes.
um,
You're an early 20s woman trying to solve a mystery in a building with no superpowers and things. Sounds about right.
so, what did you think of the plot of this book? Like when you went back?
It's interesting.
It's really bizarre.
I'm
Right?
just in the back. It is bizarre. I like the thought of someone that's like a time traveling person. I think it's interesting, like having that as the plot once to go back and save the president. I can see making sense.
Like
It seems potentially weird to do it a second time, and I can see why he had problems selling a third book about going back to save the same president.
yeah, no, you're like it's
But-
clearly an obsession of his. But when I
Yeah,
read
but
it the first time, yeah, I was like, what is this? Like,
You can see why later there are very obvious, like, oh, okay, that's why he's so obsessed with it. I think the combination is
There
in
you
the
go.
folder. Yeah.
all right. So I'll give you a moment to read the letters.
0451. That's what we need. I love that everyone writes their safe combinations in such large writing.
no, hey
that
Robert.
they just. In case you forget your combination, I've written it here, very big. Oh, I somewhat identified with the reviewer who's having a tough time and is like, no, your reviews are going downhill because you're thinking too much about your personal life.
That's the thing that I took away from this is like, wait, so he's a struggling writer. He's good at it, and then he's going through some times, and his writing is getting like a little bit nonsensical. So, and that was kind of the first time for me for when I was like, wait, he's having some issues right now, but like, what exactly are they?
As best I can tell, the time when things changed for him was when he moved into the house.
Yeah.
And I suspect that it was literally just the act of moving into that house. Just sort of reminded him of a lot of what happened in the house before, and I guess that's probably why he's a little distracted. But again, we'll get to that in a minute. Or at some point down the line. I realise we've been talking more about Terrence than we have about Sam so far.
Well, we
So
are in his
now
office. I mean, I felt
We are
like
in his
this part of the house was more character reveal, I think,
Yeah, and then
Terrence.
you sort of find the details later on for him. There's little bits like there's the parenting book back
Oh
in
yeah, I
the
forgot. Yeah,
library.
we'll get to that.
That's fine. We
I
can
forgot to pick that up.
mention it quick, but yeah, there's a book about how to deal with your troubled teenager, and you get the impression that Sam has not been the easiest teenager to live with.
See, I almost assumed that it might have been both of them. Like, not
Well,
necessarily go to like Sam is the one that's having the problem.
I don't know. I didn't at first, but I think going back,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
A little bit of hindsight. I found
Yeah.
this to be really, really boring to read through.
well. I think the important part is part number 3 on this page. That he's left every item of value he possesses, including his house, his huge house, to his nephew Terrence. I tried to make that one word, his Nerence. his nephew Terrence, who is the dad in the story, whose office this is, has been left absolutely everything. Just a sec. Yeah, and if Terrence were to die before him, everything goes to his children. So at this point, I wasn't sure if maybe that was whether that was a conscious choice on Oscar's part, or whether that was something that he did because he had nothing else to do.
It's interesting that he had the written version and the kind of typed out version on top of each other.
I think, if I'm right, you have to have that for a will and testament anyway. You've got to have the original written copy. It has to be kept with it. But
So this is the book we were talking about.
oh, we're going back to the book. Okay. Yeah.
See, you ever look up if this actual author exists somewhere?
No, I didn't, but it wouldn't surprise me because do you remember when I did an article about what's the game called? To the Moon?
Vaguely. But...
Yeah. In that book, in that game, they mention a series of books. That turned out to be a real series of books. So it wouldn't surprise me if... I know some of the books in this are made up, and there's some great stories to tell about some of these books.
Mm-hmm.
But I will get to that when we do. There's a wonderful one. Have you heard the story about, you know, the couples therapy book in the bathroom upstairs? I think it's upstairs.
I do remember that one.
Yeah. There's a wonderful story about the people on the cover, which we will tell people when we get to it.
Is this hallway we see the family, the picture of the family?
Possibly. Oh, you've gone past a picture of the family.
Yeah.
There's one by the answer phone.
Did I miss it?
Is it worth? Yeah. Is it worth going back to the answer phone just so we can go have a look at the family?
Yeah, I did, because that's what I did. Like after kind of going through that room.
Yeah.
Kind of seeing it.
Other way.
There's one,
yeah.
right?
Oh, is there? I don't know.
Is it the same one in the other room? I have no idea.
Yeah, it's this one here. Sorry, I'm a few seconds behind you between talking to you and yeah.
So I actually came back to this photo like this a couple of times, or a few times actually. You know, as more and more of the story revealed, and like each time I think it looked a little bit different. Whereas like you kind of when you have a better sense of the family, you look at this photo and you're like, there's some like the people feel a little bit different. Like, you know, you kind of start to view the picture and the family a little bit differently.
Well, one thing I think is really interesting is, I don't know if other people agree, if you look at Katie in the background, she feels very much like she's superimposed into that picture, like she's